You're listening to Fathers Handling Business, where fatherhood meets real talk and real solutions. Here are your hosts, Cali and Donté, ready to dive deep into the art and science of parenting. Let's get started and empower the dad in you.
The greatest gift my father ever gave us was coming home. Damn, that's deep. Because my mother didn't make it easy. He was a dumb MFer and all kind of stuff. But, she wanted stuff in life. But we came home humble. Sometimes he had to tell her there ain't no food. What? Mr. Provider, you ain't got no food. And you trying to tell me what to do? That's like, you come home. It doesn't feel good. But when she died, he was ready to go. I miss her. I miss my gal. What? He always saw her as the 16-year-old he fell in love with. Ooh, that's beautiful. He taught us love, like unconditional love. My dad taught us stick-to-itiveness, and that
do what you want to do. I like that.
Man, this was deep. So that was Damon Wayans on Club Shay Shay.
Club Shay Shay.
Talking about what his father gave to them. The greatest gift, he said, that our father gave to us was coming home.
Coming home, because Papa was a rolling stone. That was the going narrative I guess they grew up in the 70s?
Yeah, I don't know.
They had to grow up in the 70s.
I don't know how old Damon and his brothers are.
Yeah, they had to grow up in the 70s because they was early 20s and the early 90s, so they had to be, 70s and early 80s, teenage years, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Because, it's all been declassified how the CIA, was aiming to get rid of black families, right?
Right.
So that's all declassified. I'm not saying anything that's shocking to anybody. So, it was socially engineered to get us, as in us black men, out of homes.
Yeah.
Right? Whether through drugs, whether through jail, And so he had a father that actually was able to sidestep that and, taught them to be home. And look who they turned into.
Right. He's the oldest, right?
Keenan is the oldest.
Keenan is the oldest?
Keenan is the oldest,
okay.
Yeah. I think Keenan is like 63 or something.
No, Damon is 64.
Oh, how old is Keenan then?
Let's see. Keenan is 66, so he is older.
Okay. So they're in their 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what? So they had to be born in the 60s then.
Yeah, they're definitely born in the 60s. So
they were born in the 60s, so they
Damon
grew up in the 70s.
He was born in 1960.
Okay. So
Keenan was
first teen
Keenan
years.
was
So
born in
teenage
58.
years was in the 70s then.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So yeah, right about then, 70s and 80s, that's when they was, on our head heavy, trying to get us up out of there. With the crack cocaine and, all that other kind of stuff that nobody had in the hood. Like, there's no gun manufacturers in the hood.
But we got guns.
There's no coca leaves.
But we got the cocaina.
Western in Manchester. There's none of that. So, we had to get it from somewhere.
Yep.
So yeah, that's super dope. Hats off to his pops. That's a good example for us all. Like, cause we could just see the fruits. Of that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's all type of studies about 2-parent homes.
Man.
And then especially with the dad being there versus not being there.
Right.
The type of children that they turn out to be,
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, let's jump into this, because one of the biggest things that I took from this is that he said that our pop showed us unconditional love.
Okay.
And how he explained it is that he said our pop showed us unconditional love by the way he loved their mom.
Yeah.
He said their mom didn't make it easy. She was difficult.
She was a difficult lady.
And yet he still came home. He still did what he had to do until he could do what he wanted to do for the family. Unconditional love. We all know how and this is no shade to the black woman, but we have an understanding.
It's no shade, but it's just an umbrella.
We have an understanding of how they can talk down to a brother. If you know what I mean.
Okay.
And so, and it wasn't like he wasn't out there trying to work, trying to provide. He was out there trying to provide, but
yeah.
But she was still doing her thug thizzle with her mouthpiece.
Right. So can we just be open? You know what I'm saying? Just between me and you. You feel me on this pod, because I know that there's a stereotype about black women.
Right. There is a stereotype.
And the stereotype is that they can be unforgiving, loud, attitude.
Yep.
I'll just stop there. Right?
Yes.
But that stereotype comes from somewhere. Right? And we have a whole movement. I don't know if you've ever heard of Passport Bros. You ever heard of Passport Bros?
What is that?
You don't know about?
Oh my gosh.
So there's this whole movement called Passport Bros, where because of the stereotypes that I just said, loud, unforgiving, attitude, right? And there's others, but I'm gonna just stick with those main three. That black men have been getting their passport and going to other countries and marrying women and bringing them back.
What?
Yes, it's a whole movement called Passport Bros. Now, I took a deep dive on this a couple of months ago. They have their own hashtag. They have their own videos. Like, there's YouTube videos. There's like a few guys that are like the main people, you know what I'm saying? But there are actually dudes who go over, they make YouTube videos, and they're like, yo, you can live like a king over here. And these women take care of you like a king, you know what I'm saying, in these different countries, Japan, Brazil, Dominican, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Wow.
And it's a whole movement called Passport Bros. Like, you can look it up. But it's because of the stereotype, right? Now, stereotypes come from somewhere, right?
Yes.
So I'm just gonna, without going too hard, I'm just gonna say that there is some truth to this stereotype.
Yeah. I mean,
right?
There's some truth to almost every stereotype.
We'll go with that.
Yeah. So we're not sitting here and we're not going to bash
the only
the black
thing
woman.
that's the thing that I did not like about the Passport Bros movement, is like they like to bash.
Yeah, we ain't bashing black women.
You know what I'm saying? Now, I don't bash. I'm not gonna sit here and bash any black women. My mother is a black woman. I'm married to a black woman. You know, all that kind of good stuff. I got sisters. I got cousins.
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff.
Same.
But I see where they're coming from, right? Like, I've lived overseas, and the way that non-black women treat black men is different, especially American black women, right? Like, I've actually dealt with some African women, not African American, but African,
right, from Africa,
or first generation. Like, I was in the UK, so there's a lot of like first generation Ghanaian and Nigerian and blah blah blah. So they don't have anything to do with America.
And I'm gonna ask you this one thing.
Go ahead.
As men, what's the one thing that we long for in a relationship? Respect. Number one thing
is respect. Every man wants respect. Women, I know that women think we want all these other things, but we don't really want too much. I used to say, now forgive me, but I used to tell people this all the time. And, I just want the 3 Fs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is what all men want at the core is to feed me, F me, and shut the F up. Like, like that was those were my requirements,
Oh my gosh.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Like those were my requirements. If you couldn't meet those requirements, like I wasn't messing.
That was the old Cali. We got a
That was
3.0
yes.
Cali now.
Yeah, that was the old Cali. But at the core, what I'm saying, I still want those same things. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like I said, respect, right? We want respect. Women will crave love and all that kind of good stuff. And men, we want respect. And so I think that the thing that turns a lot of black dudes off of black women is the lack of respect that they receive with the attitude in particular, the attitude and the unforgiveness, right?
Yeah.
Especially the friend that ain't got nobody. You know what I'm saying? There's always a friend. Oh, he did this and he did
Just
that.
add
It's
fuel to the fire.
Add fuel to the fire. And obviously, I'm not talking about every single one, but we're just talking about and there is a certain sect of and type of, excuse me, women that fits this that fits this mold that I'm talking about that I stay away from. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I even have a sister that fits that mold. You know what I'm saying? And while I love her, I got a lot of sisters, but while I love her, you know what I'm saying, there's certain things that I just have to turn off. You know what I'm saying? And my brother, he's a passport bro. He was a passport bro before all that. Like, because me and him used to have conversations like 10, 12, 15 years ago about, it's like, man, these women around here, he lives in Virginia Beach, but he's like, man, these women around here, woo, wow, I'm just about to go. So he actually went and married a Dominican woman, tried to bring her back.
He married a Dominican woman?
He married a Dominican woman, brought her back, and she just missed home. So that's why they didn't work out, because she was just home alone,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't work out. But he in Taiwan, like he goes to Taiwan twice a year. He goes to the Dominican
Still?
twice a year. Yeah, like I just got off the phone with him yesterday, bro. Like his plan is to move to Taiwan in 2 years. He's like, man, you can get a dope apartment for $300. He said, if you want to live like a baller, you can have a $700 apartment and you live like a king. And he was like,
Where he gonna work?
oh, he could teach English. Like you don't need $300. You can make $1,000, you know what I'm saying, and live like a king off $1,000 a month.
Wow.
So, remote work, all kind of stuff. But yeah, so he's been a passport bro before it was a real thing. You know what I'm saying? But back to the main point. I just wanted to take that little sidetrack right quick, you know what I'm saying, because it is a thing. Like it is a thing. Like I know that black women don't like to, or they like to throw it back on us, like, oh, if y'all was doing what y'all was supposed to do, then okay, that's cool. I get that argument, but at the same time, like the unforgiveness is what I have a problem with.
Yeah, I mean, and I know the fellas, we do things that are disrespectful, and we talk about we want respect, but then we do disrespectful things, right?
Of course.
But and then it falls back into the unforgiveness part.
Correct.
Yeah, there's fellas, we got to own up to our stuff too. We got to take accountability, responsibility for our own actions as well. It's not all on the women. It's not. It really isn't.
Yeah, of course. Like I'll never be like it's all on because of this or because of that. But I've shared my story a lot on this podcast, and some of the things that I had to deal with my son's mother have just been out of control.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And I know what it stems from. It stems from me leaving so many years ago and blah blah blah. But like, come on, man. Like like that's what I mean. That's what I mean about the unforgiveness, about the attitude, that kind of stuff. Like we just, as men, we just don't want to deal with it.
Right.
And a lot of, like I said, and that's why there's a whole movement called the Passport Bros. You know what I'm saying?
And we don't have to deal with it either. and that's the thing. Like, I know that. I mean, if your kids are still in your life and they're not of age yet to where they're grown, and and you have to, interact with their mom. If as long as you keep it, about the kids,
Right.
and then just kill all the other noise, meaning like they gonna say what they gonna say
Right.
and how they say it. But if you are intentional and not allowing that to bother you, and you don't take it personal, and you just like, all right, that's just her.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You have to, you definitely have to rise above it. And
Right.
I've learned, incredible patience and how to rise above it and how to ignore it and how to deal with it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because, even in my own relationship, we had that issue for a while. And, I was able to, I'm not gonna say I was able to, but we were able to get to a point to where it's no longer an issue. You know what I'm saying? Like, I explained, like, look, it's not even what you say, it's how you say it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I had that conversation, in the early years with my wife a lot. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, look, like, I'm not saying that you don't have valid points, but what I am saying is, like, you don't have to say it in that tone. You know what I'm saying? You don't got to give me a little neck roll with it. You know what I'm saying?
Or the
you don't
rolling
have
of the
to,
eyes.
Yeah, you don't got to roll the eyes with it. It don't got to be, you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't have to be. You can say the same thing to me, and you can make your point, and I can be like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
You know
like
what
we're
I'm
having
saying?
a regular
Like we're having
conversation.
a regular
Yeah.
conversation. Like, you don't have to get an attitude with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like, it didn't happen overnight, but I don't really deal with that anymore.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so taking the time, you know what I'm saying, to really break through those barriers with our women, you know what I'm saying, is something that not everybody has the patience to do. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Man.
not everybody has the patience to do that.
Right.
But it is an issue, you know what I'm saying, and I understand these young brothers that don't want to. I was about to say the young brothers, but even the old brothers. Like I said, my brother's older than me. He like, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I'm not
Well, that's the
doing
thing. We're too old to deal with it.
it. Yeah, that part too.
You know what I'm saying? Like, life is way too short
Right.
to be dealing with that type of stuff. Like,
Right. But back to Damon Wayans, to his point, Pops dealt with it.
he did, and that's
Pops
the
dealt
point
with
that I brought up of unconditional love.
Yeah, because there had to be a point where, obviously, there was a point where he loved her in the beginning, and maybe she wasn't always like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Excuse me. And life circumstances, she wanted things, as he said. You know what I'm saying? She wanted things out of life that he didn't provide for her, and so she grew cold. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just
Yeah.
but even my godparents, I can remember vividly. My godmother yelling at my godfather like all the time, like calling him, cussing him out, all kind of stuff, and he would just laugh. You know what I'm saying? Like he was there to the end as well. You know what I'm saying? But
That was like my mom and my stepdad.
yeah,
Yeah, my stepdad was there to the end. I don't know how. I'm telling you, he had a full, 4-page letter of thank yous every Father's Day and a card from me, because I don't know how he stayed. I'm dead serious.
yeah. I mean, you like you said, it's unconditional love, and we could just look at how God loves us. You know what I'm saying? Even in the Old Testament, I'm in the book of Judges right now, and it's so funny, man. Like, the Old Testament, it's like a repeat story every time, because Israel will do something they're not supposed to do. God will allow the repercussions of that, and then they're like, "Oh, we sorry, God. We sorry, God. Can we worship? We don't want to worship these other gods. We want to worship you." And then God would be like,
Right.
all right, let me send somebody to rescue y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the same thing. Like, in Judges, it's so funny. Like, it'll be like a judge, there'll be peace for 40 years, and then Israel will forget about God.
Right.
Start worshiping other gods, and then something bad will happen, and I'm like, oh, snap, we got to worship God. And then he sends another judge. You know what I'm saying? So that's unconditional love. You know what I'm saying? It's unconditional.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty dope.
That is dope. That is dope for him to show his boys, well, all the kids, really, through his actions, not really having to say much, but was just came home every day, still showed his wife love, their mom love, and yeah, like that's
Stick-to-itiveness.
yeah, it really is. It's admirable, 1,000%.
All right, so I wanna switch gears real quick and go to this next clip that you got because
Oh man,
this next clip is I agree with this lady 100%. I just want to put that out there. And like I said, well, I was watching Ryan Davis, and he had a very similar experience. I'm gonna just go ahead and let you play the clip.
Oh, scenario. You're married with a child.
Yes.
You and your husband and your child go out on your sailboat.
Okay.
The sailboat gets shut. It's sinking.
Yeah.
Who are you going to save? The child or your husband?
Look, I would choose my child's father because we can make more children. This is an impossible choice. You also have to understand that my hierarchy in my life.
I agree.
God, my man,
husband,
my children,
everything else.
And also, I just want to emphasize spouse.
Your baby and your man is in the water.
Yeah.
Your baby look like a baby. Your man look like a grown man. I'm saving my baby. Like, I love my wife, but like I just feel like my baby.
What if she's incapacitated? What if she's knocked out?
I feel like she would be mad at me if I saved her.
She would, but she would get over it because now you a single daddy.
As a man, I can't even like go back and be like, oh yeah, I saved my wife. I let the baby die. Who am I gonna go tell that story to?
Everybody.
Like, that sounds crazy.
Let me tell you this. This is why having an integrity point and barometer with self is so important. Because if somebody said to me, you let your kids die and you saved your husband, absolutely. Now, it's not to say that I wouldn't grieve, that I wouldn't be sad. I'd probably ask myself, did I make the right choice? Oh my God, are we ever going to have children again? You know, I'm getting up there in age. Having kids is hard. All of these things are real things. But I'm telling you right now, I don't care what anybody has to say about any decision that I made because I did it and I meant it.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to this young lady, because she gets it.
yeah.
She said the hierarchy is my husband,
No, God.
God, my husband, and then my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Everything else after that.
everything else after that. So when I hear that story, you know what I think of? I think of Job. The story of Job in the Bible, right? Job had 10 kids. He had everything a man could ever want.
Mm-hmm.
And the story goes, the devil asked God, like, well, look at your servant Job. He only worships you because he has everything. All right, go ahead, devil. You can take everything from me, and I can guarantee you he's still going to praise me.
Yeah, just don't kill him.
Right, just don't kill him. So he did everything. He killed all 10 of his kids, right? He still had his wife, but his wife even cursed God, right?
Yep.
And he lost all his money. All his friends was on his head saying, you must have did something wrong, right? But he stayed faithful. And then in the end, he ended up having 10 more kids.
Yes.
And he
even
got
even
restored.
more. Yeah. Everything got restored.
Everything got restored.
And then some.
And then some, right. So I agree with this young lady that you save the husband because you can always have more kids.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of them clips that just take a whole episode. Because there are going to be so many people who would disagree, and they're saving their kids. And there are going to be a lot of people who do agree.
Priorities are wrong, though.
I mean, that's
according to biblical standards.
Right. So
right?
I mean,
'cause everybody has different standards. So I'm only comparing this to biblical standards. But go ahead.
and so was she. And so is she. Other people who have their own opinion and their own standards and their own moral compass may think otherwise.
Right. Of course they're going to think otherwise because people put their kids, like, I hate to keep dinging on, and this ain't even about black women. This is not a ding towards black women, but this is just women in general turn their kids, their sons, into their husbands. Like they
You talking about single moms?
Single moms,
Yes.
single moms turn their kids into something more than what they are.
Asking them to do
Asking them
a
to
bunch
do
of
like
stuff.
they're their whole world.
Yeah.
Right? Your kids are not supposed to be your whole world. And I know people disagree with me. That's fine. You've been wrong before. But but your kids are not supposed to be your whole world. Your kids are supposed to have their own world. You're supposed to train a child up in the way that they should go and then let them go. Like they're not supposed to be your whole world, right? Now you may have to put some things on hold to take care of them, right?
Right.
Until they are of age to take care of themselves and blah blah blah, which all of us have as parents, right? At least you should have. You know what I'm saying? If you were doing your job as a parent, I myself have as well. You know what I'm saying? I put things off because I had kids to take care
Yeah.
of. You know what I'm saying? I had to do some things that I didn't want to do because I had kids to take care of, right? But they weren't my whole world.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And anybody that feels like that, I just feel that they're misguided because that's not what the children are here for. Right? They're not here to be. They're here to be our legacy. We're to train them up. We're supposed to teach them, right, so that they can go do their own thing.
Right.
Right? Not so that we can just depend on, because there's a lot of codependency there.
Yeah,
the kids start depending on the parent too much, and then the parent starts depending on the kid too much.
I mean, she talked about the hierarchy, right, of the family. And this is something that I actually talk about when I'm with some of my clients in marriage counseling, couples counseling, right? I will ask them pretty much the same question, but I word it differently. I say, what's your top 5 priorities in life? Like from most important to least important. Do you know that I've had clients, couples, and I would ask them this at the same time, but I would have them write them down.
Yeah.
Quietly.
Right.
Separately,
right.
And then I would have them reveal them one at a time.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
I've had couples say that they, by name their dog.
What?
As number 1.
Hold on, time out. I thought you was about to say they're naming their kids, like putting them in order of Jimmy first,
Their
then
dog.
Sally. No way,
Their
dog.
dog.
This is not true. Man, don't believe him. He ain't never seen that
Their
before.
dog.
Are you kidding me?
I kid you
You're
not.
telling me married couples have put at the top of their priority list their dog?
Yes.
An animal.
Yes.
Wow.
An animal.
Okay, go ahead.
So, and then, they would go down, Fluffy, and then work, like literally work next. And then, like, I'm just going to make up a name, Ralph, the husband, and then, like, the kids, or actually the kids and then Ralph. Ralph was last. So it's like, and then I'm like, okay. So, like, all right, thanks for sharing your list. Ralph, like, as you hear, Susan's list, I'm going to just throw a name out there. What do you think of her list? And, man, you should see the look on some of these. You should see the look on their faces when
Of course.
They're like, oh, well, he was like, she's not lying,
So dog, work, and then what?
Then kids.
Then kids.
Then Ralph.
Then Ralph the husband?
Yes, bro.
Wow.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've heard it.
And what do you say?
And then I'll go through that, and he'll say, what he has to say. And I was all right. Well, you share your list, and then he'll share his list. Now, mind you, some of these people are believers, are Christians, right? And some of them aren't.
Right. Okay.
And
please don't tell me that there was a believer in there that put this dog before their husband.
I can't remember if it was a believer that put the dog in there first.
Okay.
But that I've had plenty. Of believers that do not put God first.
Gotcha.
Not even on the list.
Dang.
Not even on the list. I'm like, okay.
Dang. All right.
I'm like, what Christ y'all following?
Right. That's wild. So, okay. And so, okay, so when you I'm flabbergasted right now. So the people that have the dog on the list first, like, where do you go from there?
Oh, we talk about it. We like, so we
Do they know that dogs don't live that long? Do they know
man.
that?
But like you said, my kids are my whole world. They feel the same way about their
About the
dog.
dogs, right? And these people don't have kids, or they don't have.
No,
kids
some
right
people
now,
have
or-
kids and some people don't.
That's
right?
wild.
Yeah.
That is wild.
And the ones that do have kids and the dog is their own world, their kids probably bad. But then whose fault is that?
It's their fault.
Yeah.
100%.
So, yeah, like we break it down, and then we talk about, like, you know, their top 5 priorities and why it is that order, and then we talk about, like, if they're Christian, then we bring God into the mix, and we're like, yo, okay, so you guys are Christ followers, you guys are believers. Who unifies the marriage? You know, we talk about that, and they're like, oh, well, God does. I'm like, well, how come he ain't on the picture? How come he ain't on the list? He didn't even make the cut.
He didn't even make the cut. God didn't make the cut. It's
You know
wild.
what I'm saying? And so we talk through, like, what that looks like. You know, we have a husband, we have a wife, and then we have God at the center. He's supposed to be at the center of your life, right? And we talk about how we get the things that we do to get closer to God, right? As the wife, and then as the husband.
Right.
And if you think about it, it's like in terms of a triangle, you're trying to get closer to God, right? Who's above the husband and the wife. Well, if you do these things, and I ask them, well, how do you get closer to God? And they'll start naming off things like, oh, like prayer. Okay, cool. Read your word. All right, great. Going to church. Okay, cool. You know, giving and, like, being in community groups and all this stuff. Like, great. So all these things bring you closer to God. So if the wife does that, she gets closer to God. Okay, so what if the husband does that? Well, then he gets closer to God. And where does that bring you to?
Mm-hmm.
Closer to each other. Right?
Got you. Yeah. Because they start at the
At the base.
at the top of the triangle, and each of them are on the either sides. And as they get closer to God, they get closer to each other.
Correct.
Okay, I see you there.
Yeah.
I see you there.
But then
Padawan.
I also say, like, hey, so what if it's just the man who's doing all these things to get closer to God, but the wife isn't? Well, look where the husband is. He's close to God, but then you guys are still the same distance
apart from each other
from when you guys started, because you're not doing what you're supposed to do,
right,
in terms of having a relationship with God.
Correct.
So I break it down like that. That's some free game for you guys, okay? But for everything else, go to witherspooncounseling.com.
witherspooncounseling.com.
Yeah, no, it's a real thing. Like, people prioritize, you know, other things
other than their. Now, I was looking through the comments of this reel, and they brought up a good point, which I don't want to glaze over, is that a lot of women in here are asking, is this lady a mother? And, like, I don't know if she's a mother, because they're like, ain't no way a real mother, this tells me that she doesn't have kids. And, you know what I'm saying, ain't no way a mother would, actually do this. But my retort is this: even if she is not a mother, I feel like her having this mindset is fantastic to go into being a mother, right? Because the way that we are raised and the way that our mind works and the way that we are trained up, it affects how we parent, right?
Right.
And so if she has this mindset going into marriage and being a mother, then she's going to do great. You know what I'm saying? Whether she lives up to it or not, she at least has that mindset, right?
Right.
So I don't know if she has kids or not. They're making good points like, oh, ain't no way, no real mother. And I get that on an emotional level. But on an intellectual level, which this lady was talking about, and a spiritual level, she's 100% correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to give that other side of the coin because I see some, mothers chiming in. But those are the type of mothers where, we've seen problems with, right? And by problems, I mean the overprotecting, the treating the son as the husband, making him the quote unquote man of the house, all this other kind of stuff that he's not supposed to be, right? He's just supposed to be the child, but that's just is what it is.
Yeah. It's her perspective, I feel, should make a lot of people think, like critically think about this question.
Bro, there's 6,468 comments on this reel.
Yeah, it's
6,000 and 50,000 shares. So people have been talking about this.
yeah, it's a real, I don't know.
I mean, the scenario and Ryan.
67% said the kids, get the kids, sis, and then 33% said my spouse.
Yeah, of course, because the narrow path. They call it a narrow path for a reason because not a lot of people see it and get to it.
Wait, are you reading the comment that says she must not have any kids? Ain't no way.
There's a bunch of them.
Oh, okay.
Not just that one. I scrolled through the comments and there's a lot of comments that said this shows that she doesn't have any kids.
So the person that put that right there, that's crazy. That's the first thing that pop up. That's my little god brother who posted that.
You better let him know.
We gonna have a conversation.
Yeah, you better let him know.
We gonna have a conversation, little bro.
You better let him know.
That is wild.
You better let him know. Like, and
he's a new father. He's a new father.
Oh, that's why. Yeah, and it shows that kids are a blessing that we take for granted a lot because not only do we live in a world where we have A1 medical care, right, nowadays, but you got to remember, before I'll just say 50 or whatever, people had a lot of kids because a lot of times they didn't make it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was a lot of kids that just didn't make it. You feel me? Like, I know we try to prioritize the kids a lot and, every life is precious and all that kind of stuff. But if you have a husband and wife who are strong and they have 7 kids, right? Like, let's add another thing to this scenario. What if they have multiple kids, right?
Right.
What if they have multiple kids? Like, she needs the father there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They may lose a kid, but they still have other kids and a full family unit, right? Not now you a single father or now you a single mother trying to take care of all these kids.
Right.
Right? So, it's multiple ways of looking at it that nobody will ever agree, but it is telling that 67% of the people said save the kid, right? Because of they're not thinking from a biblical, and she laid it out. She laid out a great argument. You know what I'm saying? But most people are not thinking biblically or spiritually or, living by that design, right? So,
I wonder if this question was proposed to someone who actually did lose a kid and what they would think of this.
Like, I don't. When I talk to my mother and she tells me about all of these hundreds of cousins and all these ancestors that we have, right? I don't know one of them that didn't lose a child.
What do you mean? Like
my grandfather had 17. There was 17 of them.
What do you mean 17? 17 what?
Brothers and sisters.
No, bro. What?
Yeah. But not all of them lived. You see what I'm saying? Like, my grandmother had 7 kids. You know what I'm saying?
You mean not all of them, they passed away at some point? As we all do.
No, like there was a twin and one twin didn't make it. There was another one that he just didn't make it past. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of infant mortality. You know what I'm saying? Infant mortality rates is a real thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying that back in those days, especially with, it wasn't modern medicine, like you had a lot of kids because it was almost a guarantee that all the kids weren't gonna survive.
Yeah, but I think that's different because it's not like you're choosing to not save your kid at this point.
Correct. I'm not saying that you're choosing to have your kid die, but her overarching point was we can have more kids. No, you're not going to be able to have that kid anymore. Mm-hmm. Of course not. But the overarching point, if you zoom out and not think about it as that one kid, right? If you zoom out, if you have a bigger family and they have more kids, you can have more kids. You can even adopt a kid. And now y'all have a mother and a father who can take care of kids.
Right.
Provide, train, et cetera, instead of saving the kid. And now you have a single parent household that is not going to be a strong family unit.
All right, so now I'm about to ask you the question.
Go ahead.
Question of the hour.
Question of the hour.
So, your ex-wife.
Yes.
And whom you had a kid with. How many kids?
2.
2 kids.
Okay.
You saving your kid or your ex-wife?
Wait. But what's the scenario, though? You just
Same scenario, on the boat.
So I'm on the boat with, and she's my ex-wife at this point? Then we're not a family unit.
No.
She could go. Bye.
No, I'm just saying in terms of, she's your wife at this point.
Oh, okay.
And you guys only have 1 kid at the time.
And we only have 1 kid at the time. Okay. Okay.
Who you saving?
Who am I saving?
Yes.
Who am I saving?
This is a tough one. It's
a tough question. And I'm not going to sit here and act like this is an easy decision. Mm-hmm. My point was that she made a sound argument, right? You are asking me this question of a person who I didn't want to be with, right? So is it at the beginning of our marriage when everything was lovely for the first couple of months? Or is it a few months later? Because if it's a few months later, I might have just pushed her. You feel what I'm saying? No, I'm just playing. You know what I'm saying? I might have just pushed her and just been like, I'll raise the kids by myself and find a stepmom. You feel me? Like, that's how I would have handled
the truth came out, y'all.
You know what I'm saying?
The truth came out.
Back in those days when I was a different person. Mm. You see what I'm saying? But if it was at the beginning of our relationship, and like I said, like these are all things that go through. We're talking about a made-up scenario and situation, and she's speaking from a couch, right? Making this decision from a logical and biblical standpoint, and she is 100% correct. Now, had she been on a boat, you know what I'm saying, in real life, would she make that same decision? Who knows?
And I think that is. I mean, and that's why I asked you the question, because we're
and to go back to what I said earlier was that whether she has kids or not, the fact that she's thinking about this and has that in her mind is great, because she will have thought about this scenario and known what she should be loyal to at that time. When I got married at 19 years old, I wasn't as biblically sound as I am now, right? Or spiritually sound as I am now. I was, living in the world, thinking like the world thinks. So at 19, would I have done that? Probably not. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't have that knowledge. I didn't think like that. Right? She's thinking like that now, so that if that scenario does arise, she knows what to do. You know what I'm saying? Like Sugar Free said, the great American poet Sugar Free said, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like that's my point, is that if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. That's my only point.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we want to know what you guys think. What would you do? You saving the kids?
Saving the kids.
Or your spouse? What are we doing here? Where's your mind at? Where's your head at? Same scenario. Let's go.
What are you doing? Don't try to skate out.
All right, y'all. That's it. We're gonna wrap.
See what I'm saying? Like, when you have other things that are involved, when you have other feelings that are involved, it changes the scenario, because she gave a perfect scenario, husband, wife. Now, if I ask you that question, you have kids by a totally different person than who your wife will be. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
So if y'all are on a boat, you know what I'm saying, it's going to be something different. You know what I'm saying? Like, your decision process is going to be different.
I'm definitely way wiser than I was before.
Correct.
And everybody will have life jackets on.
So you don't even have to worry about that situation.
Ain't gotta worry.
Okay.
Stay ready, so you ain't gotta get ready.
Stay ready, so you gotta get ready. But before we go, I just want to bring this one out, because this is a different scenario, but same situation. Okay. Ryan Davis, the comedian, right? He has a joke, and he's talking about, excuse me, him, his new wife, her kid, and his kid are all at dinner together or something, right? And a gunman comes in and says, one of y'all got to die, right?
So your new wife, your kid from a previous wife,
a previous marriage,
and then her kid from a previous marriage.
Correct. So he said the stepkid got to go.
Yeah, easy.
I mean, from a man's point of view, of course, it's easy. But his reasoning was the same as hers, though. He was like, "Look, I'm rich. If I die, how are y'all going to be supported? Y'all may be all right for a year or two, but after that, you know what I'm saying, it's over with. You know what I'm saying? We can make more kids, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not letting my kid die.
That's a wild scenario.
That's a wild scenario. The way he laid it out was perfect too. It was funny, but it's the same scenario, right? And he said the same thing. Now, based on what I know about him, I don't think that he's, a believer in Christ or anything like that. I don't know if he is or not, but just based off of what I've heard from him, I don't think he is. But he came to the same conclusion. Like, save the parents. You know what I'm saying? The kids got to go. Mm-hmm. If you got to go, then you got to go. I know that that's an unpopular opinion for parents,
right,
especially new parents. So I'm interested to hear what you say is your nephew.
That's my little god brother. Your little god brother.
I'm interested to hear the conversation that you had.
He got a 1-year-old, right, and he's not married yet.
Oh, okay. Well, like I said, that changes the scenario, because there's no covenant there.
Yeah.
Right. Like, that's what people are missing, is the covenant part of it. And a lot of us and me included, right, had children outside of the covenant. So when you have children outside of the covenant, then it's a totally different scenario, right? Because now your allegiance is not lined up how God intended it to be. So now the scenario is not a perfect situation. This young lady was talking about a perfect situation, or a biblical situation. They married, covenant, and then children. Not most people, but a lot of people in today's world have sex, kid, maybe we'll get married. Maybe. Mm-hmm. Maybe.
Yeah. Hey.
Maybe. Depends on how you act.
We're gonna talk about that later.
So that's our show for today. Father's Handling Business. I'm Cali. That's Donté. We appreciate y'all listening, checking us out. Man, let us know what you feel.
Yeah.
Let us know what the right decision is. I guess there's no right or wrong, but
there's no right or wrong. There's just your decision.
Yeah, it's just your decision that you got to live with.
Yep. All right. Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. We hope you found our discussion enlightening and empowering as you navigate the rewarding journey of fatherhood. Don't forget to follow us on socials, join the conversation, and share your own experiences. We're here to support and inspire each other, one episode at a time. Until next time, Keep empowering the dad in you.